So this is a pretty hype chapter. We're definitely moving away from the Todoroki soap opera and moving back into, I guess what you could say, the main storyline here. Because Izuku is now in the vestige world and all of the vestiges are here, and let's just get into it. So the title of this chapter is Izuku Midoriya and Yagi Toshinori. The chapter starts with All Might holding Deku's hand, and he said that he felt the one for all inside Deku, but only vaguely. Deku was shown to still lay unconscious, but he was having an inner dialogue, wondering how is everyone doing. He mentioned Gran Torino, Aizawa, Bakugo, Ida, Ryukyu, Endeavor, Hado, Todoroki, Mirio, Rocklock, Manuel. The next panel showed Deku in a room, vestige world, together with all of the predecessors, but the second and third user were standing facing the wall. The first user explained that back then they could only interfere vaguely, but since 4 months ago, One for All had grown rapidly, and now the consciousness of each predecessors had become clearer and clearer, and now they can communicate with each other. Okay, so this is huge. I mean, this is like big. Like I said in the beginning, we're seeing every single vestige, every single previous user of One for All here, even the second and third, but I'll get into that. So this room here seems to be more tangible than we've ever seen so far in the vestige world, at least with Izuku. It's still kind of in like that ethereal vortexy type thing, but now they have like some kind of, like I said, tangible, solid ground to them. It's like a portion of a room, but also the vestiges are all sitting in like these big chairs. These are like chairs that you'd see in like some kind of British throne room or something, I guess. And every single previous user is sitting in these chairs. Even the energy ghost of All Might is like has his own chair. But wouldn't you know it, the only two that are not sitting are the second and third users. They're standing facing the walls behind them, like something out of the Blair Witch Project. And like I said, we're seeing what they actually look like. Again, not from the front, only from the back, but we're seeing like their clothes and their hair and their skin and everything. And I'm not gonna try to stir the pot any more than I already have at this point, or my contemporaries have. But I gotta say, come on, and you probably thought this too. They look way more like Bakugo and Kirishima than they ever have now. Like there's even like 2 panels where it zooms up on the back of their heads and the one guy looks just like Bakugo. And then the other guy looks like if you took Kirishima's hair and put it in a man bun. The one Kirishima looking guy, we gotta stretch a little bit for him of course, but the Bakugo guy looks so much like him. Not only that, but he even has like a similar kind of like sleeveless shirt that Bakugo wears. And of course, those gauntlet type things, he still has them. He has like some kind of like gauntlets by his side. I just want to put that out there that like, it's almost getting pretty blatant at this point in my opinion. So one more thing before we move on, I just want to mention something that is not mentioned in this spoiler summary, and that's the 6th user. He's actually speaking in this chapter, and the only dialogue that I've seen from him so far with a real rough translation is that he looks at Izuku and he says he's much younger than I expected. And he's also the only vestige who's sitting on the chairs with like his legs up and his hands on his knees. The first user explained that in the last panel, Big Bro, All for One, tried to pull One for All by force, and it caused them to be able to appear even more in front of Deku. Banjo, the 5th user, said that Deku shouldn't be worried because they will guarantee to keep Deku's privacy. Banjo realized that Deku still doesn't have a mouth, but since the fight with Shigaraki, Deku could form vowels, meaning his mouth, in the vestige world, had started to form. The first to talk is the 4th user, Shinomori Hikage. He explained that in the last battle, Deku unexpectedly used his power. Banjo teased Shinomori, saying he's a weirdo. Banjo and Shinomori looked quite friendly with each other. Okay, so this came to fruition. We were speculating about this at the end of the previous chapter, that Izuku was likely going to be talking to the 4th user, and here we go. So we're actually getting his name, I'm pretty sure, for the first time, Shinomori Hikage. And I also like that he has the banter with Banjo, the 5th user, and it makes sense because, you know, he's the 4th user, Banjo's the 5th, so that means that Shinomori passed it on to Banjo. So naturally, they would have some kind of pre-established relationship, I I suppose. Shinomori explained that his cause of death at 40 years old is old age. Like, what is this guy, living by the logic of a teenager on social media? He continued that the conclusion of One for All is not something a normal human can use. Shinomori spent 18 years running from All for One because he knew he couldn't beat him and tried to foster the power instead. But on his last years, he felt the side effect of One for All on his body. At first, he thought that it's because he was training wrongly all this time, or because he got some kind of disease. But thanks to All Might's research, now he's sure that his death was due to having One for All's multiple quirks, and it burnt his life force, making him aged faster, thus died faster. Okay, so that's super interesting. Some more information here, and I would go more into that, kind of trying to debunk that, but it's further explained here, so I'll just keep going. But after Shinomori, All Might actually owned the power for a longer time and is still alive. So there must be something that differentiates Shinomori and All Might. Deku figured that it's that All Might was quirkless. So if somebody already has a quirk and received One for All, it would cause them to shorten their lifespan. But quirkless people are like empty glass, thus it's suitable for One for All. Passing it to people with quirks will only make them die young, and they also concluded that Deku cannot pass One for All to another people, thus he will be the last holder. Okay, so a few things to break down here. New information about One for All. We didn't know that it shortens your lifespan if you originally had a quirk to begin with, but it's understandable. It's always kind of been established in this series that it's super difficult to have multiple quirks if you're just a normal person. Hence why the Nomus have to go through such radical transformations and modifications and stuff like that to be able to have multiple quirks, and also such as we saw with Shigaraki going into Plus Ultra Shigaraki. And also the thing here about Izuku not being able to pass on One for All to another person. In this spoiler summary, it's not exactly stated why he can't do it. Either it's because they don't want another person to die young, or One for All can only be passed on so many times possibly, and Izuku was just luckily the last person. I'm not sure, maybe we'll get more of an explanation to this once the full translations come out. The last page of the chapter showed Nana saying, back to the main topic, can you kill Shigaraki Tomura? Okay, so Nana just coming out of nowhere and dropping the hammer. So if anybody were to suggest this, I guess it would be the one who is closest to him, being that she's his grandmother. And I guess she's just saying this so that All for One, the quirk, or just the whole entity itself, can just die along with him since he is currently holding it. I'm just curious to see what Izuku is going to say in response to this. Obviously, Izuku doesn't want to kill anybody and likely won't kill anybody, but maybe he'll be like, well, I guess I got to do what I got to do, or maybe he'll just say, well, I'll find another way to save him or something. But that's pretty much going to be it for this one. Let me know what you think about these spoilers in the comments. This was super spicy. I'm so looking forward to the full translations now. If you liked the video, guys, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.